Well, welcome back to Harmonize Your Life Conversations on Self-Care for Women of Color podcast with your host, Dr. Tony G. Alvarado. I'm so excited to have you back with me for another intriguing podcast conversation. It's the month of November, and we have been talking about the benefits of intentional self-care. I'm super excited because the women that I've been talking to this month are women who are currently matriculating through the intentional self-care program, of which I am serving as their coach through a process of intentional self-care. We've already heard from Desiree Young this month, and today we're going to hear from another one of our cohort members in the intentional self-care program. And we'll be talking about her journey through intentional self-care and how it has benefited her in this year and as she moves forward. So listen, I want you to grab a neighbor, text a neighbor, call a friend, share this podcast conversation, and let somebody know you need to listen to what Dr. Tony Alvarado and her guests are sharing today about the benefits of intentional self-care. We'll be right back with our next guest right after this. All right, well, here we go. I'm excited again to bring back to the Harmonize Your Life podcast Dr. Felicia Brackett-Owens, who is a psychologist. She is a psychologist, well known for her efforts being directed towards helping others intentionally perpetuate the quality of their life, develop growth, and walk in their destiny. While developing her career, she has held numerous roles and positions, but the three roles that have remained constant for her are counselor, coach, and consultant. Dr. Owens has more than 15 years of experience providing psychotherapy to adults, children, and parents in various settings, including private practice, community, churches, DCFS, inpatient psychiatric hospitals, college counseling centers. Her work has afforded her a range of experience working with minority families for the intentional purpose of strengthening service delivery to their communities, resulting in valuable knowledge and understanding for addressing the multicultural factors that exist for these families. Throughout her education, career, and ministry, Dr. Owens became skilled in motivational speaking, teaching, leadership development, and organizational management. She has conducted several successful workshops, such as emotional management, business and balance, love and marriage, conflict resolution, grief and loss, just to name a few. She is dedicated and actively involved in her church, where she serves as an elder, executive assistant to her senior pastor and a teacher. She is a family woman who also enjoys spending time with her entire family, both immediate and extended. She is not a new voice to the Harmonize Your Life podcast. She has been a guest on the podcast before, just talking about self-care and mental health. But I invited her back because as you heard in her bio, she is intentional about helping others. But this year, she was intentional about helping herself through the Harmonize Your Life intentional self-care program. Welcome with me, Dr. Felicia Owens. Welcome back, Dr. Owens.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me back. I'm super excited to have this conversation with you this morning.
I'm excited to have you here. As I read in your bio and as I shared in my introductory comments, we're talking about the benefits of intentional self-care. And I'm particularly talking to the cohort members from 2024 who've gone through the intentional self-care program with me. And what was intriguing for me about coaching you this year is as you as a mental health therapist, a psychologist, a counselor, having your own practice and clients, being actively involved in ministry, being a wife, a mother, a daughter, an auntie, which we found out you take
Oh,
that
yeah, well,
that auntie thing.
I do.
She love that one right there.
Yes, yes,
She take auntie seriously. But
yes,
we
I do.
talked about all those dynamics of your life and how intentional you have been about supporting others. But then this year you decided to be intentional about you.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're absolutely right. That has been just kind of how I believe was my honor and service to the Lord, right? Serving other people, right? I grew up in a Christian household. I grew up kind of in a Christian environment, Christian churches, and that's what was imparted on us. Serve others, serve others, serve others, serve others. But I didn't realize that it didn't mean to the part that you was just flat out served out, right? That you
Right.
wasn't serving yourself, because
Mhm.
that's what I was not doing. I got my joy out of serving others, and it was at whatever cost, right? But what started
Mhm.
happening this year was the cost started getting too expensive, right? It started getting too great for
Oh,
me,
wow.
because my body started, kind of like saying, okay, you need to do something, right? Or my emotions started to get out of whack. I started noticing these things that was like, okay, this is not how
Red
we function.
flag.
Yeah, exactly. This is not how we function, and this is not how we operate. And then life started happening. We had a couple of major family losses that took a heavy, heavy toll on me. And as I was still being there for other people, I was slowly kind of
Mm.
non-existing in my family. I was there functioning, but it wasn't effective in a sense. I
Mhm.
was present in body, but I
Mhm.
wasn't present in my mind. I wasn't present in my soul. So I
Mhm.
knew something had to be different. Something
Mhm.
had to change.
Mhm. You know, as you were talking, I was thinking we're talking about the benefits of intentional self-care. And one of the things, as you were sharing about you and all the things that you were doing, and even the way you were serving your family,
Mhm.
and we talked about this a lot in your coaching sessions. Sometimes our service to others is benefiting other people, but it's not benefiting us, and
Yeah.
it's not beneficial to us. It's not life-giving. It doesn't give back to us. And although we do get some sense of joy, we do get some sense of fulfillment out of what we do, right? But then
Yeah.
sometimes if we overgive,
Mhm.
then it becomes detrimental,
Well,
right?
absolutely. But I think that's what I didn't recognize, and I think that's why I needed to kind of come into your program, because I didn't realize the detriment of it. I thought, yeah, this is the joy. The joy is in the serving other people, and yeah, I may suffer, but so did Christ, right?
So we spiritualize it.
Absolutely. I spiritualized it. And that's how I made it okay for me, right? Because it was like, oh, well, so did Christ. So I'm aligned with his suffering. If Jesus could take the sacrifice, if he could take the cross, I sure enough could take this, right? So that's what I did. And that was the part that I was sharing before about how I did. We were talking about how we can't pour from an empty cup, and how I didn't recognize my cup was empty because I was just
Mhm.
serving. I
Mhm.
was keep so busy praising my Jesus. I ain't even have time to die. I ain't got time to die, right? Because I was on
Not
the battle.
realizing that you are gonna die.
I am right. I am slowly decreasing, but I am on the battlefield for my Lord, right?
Right.
That's how I
Right.
looked at it. I was on the battlefield for my Lord. So my tiredness, my fatigue, they were just battle scars that came along with it, which is why I
Oh,
didn't recognize that
oh,
my cup was empty.
oh my God. And I know we talked a lot about I one of the things that we worked on with you was helping you to deconstruct and deconstruct your theology around serving,
Oh, yes.
and re and help you develop a theology of self-care. that
Yeah.
would facilitate the call of God in your life rather than dismantle or
Yeah.
drain you or kill you in the
Yeah.
process,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Because that's why there was one of the podcasts that I love so much. I think it was Dr. May, and her question was, "Am I operating in the center stage of my life?" That was one of our homework
Mhm.
assignments to listen to
Yeah.
that.
Mhm.
And when I listened to that, I was like, I'm not operating in that center stage of I'm not the center of my life, because Jesus is the center of the joy, right? I'm not everything was spiritual, right? I'm not the center of my life because I'm not supposed to be. Everybody else is supposed to be. I had got married, so the thing that was there is, wives, submit to your husband, take care of your husband's needs, and he'll take care of yours, right? Then I
Mhm.
became a parent, and it was all of the focus and the attention had to come on there. Then in the Black community, like when you grow up, you got to take care of mom and dad. Although I got 11 brothers and sisters, right? You still have a responsibility there. So to me, to be the center of my life sounded too selfish. It
Mm,
was too.
mm,
It didn't
mm,
sound of God,
mm, mm, mm,
because that
mm.
was my theology. That was how I was interpreting that.
I know, and I cannot tell you how many women. I first of all, I can't tell you how what's. I remember when I had to confront that in me, right?
Yeah,
And so, Jesus said to Peter, when you are converted, strengthen your brother. And
yeah,
so when I got a revelation that God was not calling me to kill myself because of ministry,
yeah,
then I knew that I had to help other women, particularly women of faith, realize that part of our service to God and to the world is in caring for ourselves.
yes,
And
yes,
not just haphazardly, but intentionally caring and doing the things that we need to do to care for ourselves. And so to be able to have you come into this program, someone like yourself, it was just it was an honor. It's been an honor to coach you through this process, because I know that what we walk through and what the transformation that's taking place in you. Now you're going to go back and give that to all these other people that you're
absolutely.
called to minister to, and that you're walking with your clients and the people in your church and your community and your family. One of the things I share with people is self-care. When you take care of you, you give other people in your life permission to take care of themselves.
Yeah, yeah. Dr. Tony, when you said that you knew you had to, when you lived this throughout your own life, you knew you had to impart that in other women. I think that was the blessing to me. That was what I was most grateful for, which was what made me choose this podcast, because I needed to see women like you. I needed to see women like you who were successful, who were loving the Lord. You're a pastor, you were walking in your calling in Christ, but you were also walking in your calling in the marketplace, while you were doing all of these things. But you were honest that, hey, yeah, I wasn't always the center, and I needed to see that, right? I needed to see someone in that caliber, because I didn't think, when I would look at successful women, I didn't think about, oh, well, they had a process too, right? I thought, okay, they've arrived, they've mastered it somehow, and here I am on the struggle bus. Listen, I was on the struggle bus. I was really, really on the struggle bus until the Lord had. I think I saw your commercial. It was, and I've known you before that, because you've ministered with our family. We know each other. So but I wasn't aware that you had this program. So when the Lord told me to do that, I thought, okay, I knew immediately that I needed to do that, because I needed to hear from other women that it's okay that you are not Superwoman.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's okay to take off of this cape
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and hang it up, because
Because
it's killing.
woman is a myth. It is
It's
not
a myth.
reality. Right.
It's a myth. It's a myth. And yes, yeah, there are certain strengths that comes with Black women, but the way that I was operating was I was like functioning in my dysfunction. It was so dysfunctional, because I was just moving and moving and not realizing the people around me that I loved the most were suffering,
Mm-hmm.
because they didn't have the complete version of me. Even
Mm-hmm.
the God, I love being a wife, I love being a mother, I love being a daughter, I love being an auntie.
Well, and listen, when you said something, I want to put a pin in something you just
Yeah,
said. I want you to finish that thought. you said they were not getting the complete version of you. So you were actually robbing people of the richness of who you're called to be because you
Yeah,
weren't taking care of it.
because I wasn't taking care of it. They were only getting a portion of who I knew God had called me to be, because the other portion, it couldn't get paid. It was exhausted. Right? I didn't have the strength to show up as Felicia. I was
Mm.
showing up as Dr. Owens.
Oh, okay. So you were showing up as Dr. Owens, but
Yes.
Felicia was somewhere dying.
Felicia was sinking.
What's the difference? Tell me the difference.
Well, because Dr. Owens, I was trained to perform, right? I put this Dr. Owens cap on. It's tell me your problems, I got you, right? It's okay, you do this, you do this. It's Olivia Pope in action, right? It's handled, right? But Felicia was going home unfulfilled.
Mm.
Felicia didn't know how. All she knew was that she was filled with emotion and something was lacking, and something was missing. I was present, but I was just surviving. I
Oh,
wasn't living. I was
so
just
good.
surviving. I was, what the Good Time song said, I was keeping my head above water. That was
Oh,
it. That
yeah.
was just enough. The water was here, just enough to stay afloat, to stay breathing. And I see all that beautiful land, but I didn't have the strength to paddle. Right, my poor little propellers. I just didn't have the strength for that, and I didn't know that I was even capable of having it, because I thought, again, this is just all a part of
This
the
is the way
process.
it's supposed to be.
Right?
Wow.
If Alicia has to shrink for Dr. Owens to show up, because Dr. Owens is who the world needs. Right? Elder Owens is who the world needs. Right? But what about who I need?
Mommy and wife and all these hats and
Right?
labels and positions and titles and all the like I said, all the things.
All of the things.
So will you share with those that are listening, what were some of your concrete goals that we set in the program? We talked about a few things that you wanted to see happen at the end, because at the beginning of the year we start in January, and we wanted to know, okay, fast forward, what do you want this to look like at the end of 2024, right? And you set some concrete goals, and some of them you adjusted along the way, but share what some of those goals were and where you are in the journey.
I think for me coming in, it was scary, right? Because it was a 12-month program, and I thought, oh, I felt like I got San Antonio, I got New York City, I got all these things to do. Where am I going to fit this in, right? Because remember, Felicia wasn't a priority, right? So me saying, no, this is what I need. I need to make room for. I think one of my goals the big one was that I had to come from the back of the line to the front of the line. Because I was in the back of the line and everything. I resonated, with Michelle Obama book, Becoming. She talked about how she was number 4. It was Barack and her children. She was number 4. I resonated that so much, because I was like, oh my God, I'm probably number 5 because I got the dog. I'm number 6. I'm an auntie. I'm a daughter. So I was like the last in my poll. So I knew I had to figure out a way to come to, in other words, the center stage, to come to the front of the line, right? And I knew that would be challenging, because I had to maneuver all of these things to get into place, right? So it was harmonizing. It was bringing harmony to my life with all of the roles. So it was bringing myself to the front, but it was also bringing harmony, because I knew that there are certain things that I just couldn't get rid of, right? What you're called to do. So it was
you can't get rid of the kids and your husband, and I mean,
right, they have to stay, right? So I knew that there were roles that they were just mine, but I needed to know how to prioritize them, right? How to prioritize myself within them, right? How to make sure I'm getting what I need and they're getting what they need. How do I coexist with these people that I live with? With this boy that I live with, right? How do I coexist with these children? How do I these roles, and I love them. How do I, all of these roles that I love so much, How do I make it work? And then figuring out, okay, prioritizing what's important, and then being okay with letting go of the things that were detrimental to me. I think that was one of the major goals.
Mhm.
Letting go things that didn't serve me.
Mhm.
Letting
Mhm.
go things that didn't serve my health.
And sometimes those things, we won't go into any details, but some of those things that you had to let go of were people that you really love.
Oh, don't get me to cry. Where's my tissues? It really, really was, right? Some of it was some of the
The expectation.
right, the
Mhm.
expectations, so
Mhm.
or the responsibilities within those roles. So
Uh-huh.
for instance, right, I was an auntie and I had all these responsibilities, but I didn't have to have them all. Right. I didn't
Mhm.
have to take away the role. I just had to take away some of the responsibilities in the role.
Exactly.
You
Mhm.
you see, so that's what I had to learn, because sometimes we would just throw the whole role in the garbage and then we're really unfulfilled. But it was
Right,
just
right,
it
right.
was like, no, I was adding all of these unnecessary things. One of the things that
And probably things that they won't even be asked of you to do.
no, I was just gonna say, you taught me that, so it was so refreshing when you just say, Dr. Owens, you have to give other people a chance to show up. And it was just like, no, but I need to make sure it was done. I need to make sure this. But it was just like, I wasn't giving other people to a chance to operate in their full capacity because I was jumping in these
Because
roles.
you were over functioning.
I was over functioning. And when I got a hold of that thing, I thought I got to send Dr. Tony an offering every month, because that thing really blessed me, where it was just like, no, you added, when the Bible say lay a burden down, to me, that's saying you can pick a burden up. I had
Mhm.
started picking these things up that didn't belong to me.
Mhm.
So I had
Mhm.
to just give them back to people.
Mhm.
I always use this closet analogy. One time I was cleaning out my closet before, and I wondered, like, I can take stuff out of my closet, but for some reason I can't shove it back in there. So when I started to clean out, I realized I had shoes that I had borrowed from my sister. I had my husband. I had everybody else stuff in my closet, so my stuff couldn't fit. So I had to give those people back the things that belonged to them, because
Mhm.
my stuff had to fit. So that's what you taught me how to do. No, you're carrying your stuff. You're carrying stuff that belong to other people. Give it back. And I just started giving it back. It was hard because they was like, you're supposed to hold that for me. They didn't want it back because I was taking good care of it. It was taking up space, but it was freeing their space up. So I had to say no, right? So that if I can say one, it was so mean, but that was one of the major things. Give it back to them. It don't belong. Stop carrying the weight of other people, and they walking around just as free as a bird, and you bring it down with their stuff.
And that's what we do. That's what we do. Good, good, good. And so very practically, so those were things. And remember, what some other things that we talked about with you was having some me time.
What did that even look like? Right? I didn't listen. I just did, because I thought, especially before the pandemic, I love to shop, I love to dress. So to me, my me time was just getting up, putting on cute clothes every day, and going to work cute. I put on a face today. I look cute today. So that was me time. That was what I thought, and that was just like, no. When you taught me kind of what that really was, what that really looked like, that soul time, so to speak. Not and nothing was wrong with, like, the getting your hair did, getting your nails did, but
Yeah.
the me time to really, really spend time rejuvenating, right?
Mhm.
To really, really spend time kind of putting those things down, kind of being vulnerable and building myself up. I didn't have that.
Mhm.
Everybody else had me time. Everybody else had a piece of my time, but I
Mhm.
didn't have that. So that was very important too. And that was harder too, because my husband was coaching at the time, so he was gone often. So my daughters, that responsibility was on me, and they're volleyball superstars, I call them. So that meant we were driving to daddy's game, but we were also, going to practices. So we had to figure out who can go here, figure out who can go to practice. And then so they got to eat. So I guess I had to feed them. I had to cook for him. You understand what I'm saying? And then we were cooking Sunday dinner at my mom's house. So, it was just so many roles. And it was just like, I didn't have any me time. I didn't even know. And I felt like I didn't want to offend people with my me time. Isn't that something? I thought me taking time would somehow offend people. So I just didn't take it. I just didn't take it. And I just showed up every day, with a smile on my face, but underneath just bruised. Nobody saw the bruises though, right? Nobody saw it, because this
and all that other kind of stuff.
this is what they saw. They saw the one that was put together. But I knew no, something has to give. Something has to change. I'm thinking, it was like, people, they were used to seeing, and the story, and there are certain things that I can handle, but I knew that I needed to bring some harmony to that. Like I needed to, because again, I was on the ledge, and if you had said, if the wind would have blown, I don't know, Dr. Tony. Where, if it had not been for the Lord on my side, right? Those were the hymns that I was singing before I came into this program. Lord, where would I be?
Wow.
Yeah.
Tell us about a couple of habits you developed in this process.
I think one of the one, and this is that we adjusted, what I thought was so great. So generally, my daughters get up in school and they are out of the house by 7:00. And one of the things that we developed was this 2-hour time. We talked about a time that we are going to give me in the morning that I can just have for me, right? That and the part that I loved about the new habit that I developed was it wasn't just haphazardly. We gave it direction. We gave it intention. So it was like, okay, from 7 to 7:30, we're gonna do this, or I'm the person that talks to her mom all the time. So it was like, my mom will call, what you doing? So I needed to have that time in the morning. So it was like, okay, 7, you're gonna get the kids out the house, you're gonna get the dog fed, so she won't be hollering and barking, right? But then, right, you're gonna have your time where either you're gonna put some worship music on, you're gonna have your tea, coffee, whatever you like, or you're gonna run to McDonald's for a frappe, whatever you want to have. You're gonna have that time where you're gonna command your day, right? Whether it's in prayer, after prayer, whatever else I needed. That was such a refreshing habit to build, because sometimes it was, I need to talk to my sister today. I love talking to her in the morning, telling her how my day went, right? With the girls or something like that. Sometimes that was needed. Sometimes it was just quiet, silence, right? Sometimes
you said that it's not always the same. And we also talked about not being so rigid with it, so that
I was flexible. Absolutely. It was written. I often tell my clients, it's not the 10 Commandments.
Right. Okay.
It's not written in stone. It's in pencil. Well, I can erase it. Right. So and that's what you taught me. You remind, because I was always a kind man. Some of these things, that it was just me redoing those things, because that was how I got so successful with my time management. I always had those things. I lost sight of them. So it was writing it in pencil, realizing that, okay, I may have needed something Monday, and Tuesday I need something totally different. Wednesday, because of what Monday brought, right? Monday, right?
We talked about living in the moment. We talked about self-care is, what do I need today? What do I need in this moment? Assessing what you need and giving yourself that, and giving yourself permission.
That's another habit I developed too, asking myself that, right? I didn't ask myself that. It was what was everybody else needed. The calendar was, okay, Taylor has this, okay, I got to do this. Okay, the girls got this. I got a parent-teacher conference. It was never it is so funny that I'm talking about this, because this is all of the things I tell my clients to do, right? All the things I make sure that they're doing. So, but that was another habit that I needed to develop, was getting up in the morning and checking in with Felicia. Not Dr. Owens, not Boo, not Mommy. Checking in with Felicia as the individual.
Right. That's so good.
What do you need today, Felicia? What does your body need today? What is your energy like today? How are you feeling? Are you tired? Are you exhausted? Do you need 5 more minutes? Right? Do you need to snooze 5 more minutes?
Slide into the day. I had a situation this week where, I woke up and I was just like, oh no, I just need to take my time. I knew that when my body did not wake me up at the normal time my body wakes me up,
Yes.
I
Mhm.
knew that it was time for me to just let my body just wake up on
Yes.
its own. I adjusted my workout schedule with my trainer. I called him. I was like, "Hey, I'm about to work out a little later this morning," and
Yeah.
just and that's so. And I even posted on Facebook, on social media, because I do my fitness posts every morning,
Yes.
and
I
I
saw
said
that.
sometimes we have to ease into the day. It
Yeah.
can't always just be getting up running, and even when it comes to things like exercise and fitness and things of that nature, we got to
Yeah.
learn how to just see, okay, what's profitable, what's needed for this
Yeah.
moment, right?
And listen to your body. Like you said, when your body didn't normally wake, that was another habit I had to develop, listening,
Mhm.
right? Listening to what your body is telling you that you need. Because I would hear it sometimes, Dr. Tony, but I didn't listen to it. I went on about my day. Shoop, 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 right? Not
How
listening
we
to
know that we're listening is when we make the adjustments
when we make the
that we
adjustment.
need to make. Wow,
Absolutely.
thank you. Girl, I'll tell you, you have just go to the head of the class. So, so we're getting ready the application for the we're getting ready for cohort 2025. The application is live on my website. For
Mhm.
those of you who are listening to us and you're interested in the intentional self-care program with the Harmonize Your Life intentional self-care program, you can go to my website at drtonyalvarado.com. You can find it there, or you can email me at hello@drtonyalvarado.com, and we will send you the application link. But it is available on my website. If you go to the self-care network page of my website, and you can get the link to the intentional self-care program. Or if you can't do the 12-month program, just join the Harmonize Your Life Women's Self-Care Network. There is a button there for that as well, and you can join that, and you can get the link to come into tea time with Dr. Tony and some of the other things that we're doing in the self-care network to make sure that we facilitate a community. We are a community of women who are concerned about our fitness, our health, our wellness, our mental health, financial health, relationships,
Yes.
all things self-care, health, and wellness. You can
Mhm.
find that in the Harmonize Your Life Women's Self-Care Network, particularly if you're interested in the intentional self-care program, what Dr. Felicia Owens, who is also, she's a member of the network, but this year she went a step further and went and she is a part of the intentional 12-month intense program where she has learned some new skills, learning how to intentionally do for herself
Yes.
what she does for others. And so that's what we've been talking about in this week's episode, or this month episodes of the podcast. Again, we heard from Desiree Young in our previous episode. In this episode, we're hearing from Dr. Felicia Owens, and both of these women are in the cohort this year, the 2024 cohort of the Intentional Self-Care program. And so I just want Dr. Felicia, if you will share with those women or men who are listening to us today, what are some strategies you would recommend for those who are struggling with intentional self-care? Give us final words of encouragement or wisdom for those
Mhm.
who are listening to this podcast.
I would say this. Sometimes you don't realize that you need something until you have it, right? You know, I didn't realize, like I said before, I didn't realize I was struggling with needing to have a community, right?
Mhm.
That that is going to be my number one recommendation. For one, signing up for the podcast, right? I'm not, maybe for the program, because one of the best parts of this was having a community, right, of women that it was our time. We had our one-on-one time, but we had our time on Tuesday evenings, right, that we were there. It was very intimate. We were vulnerable with one another. We were able to help hold each other accountable. We were able to share ideas. I didn't know how much I needed that. Right?
Mm.
I mean, I have friends, I have people, but I didn't know how much I needed this intentional space to be able to think through strategies or come up with that. So I think, one of the things is, making the investment in myself.
Okay. Okay.
Right? This was making the investment in myself. Because sometimes when we see a price attached to something, that makes us say, well, no, I can't afford to do that. I can't. But it's like, I can't afford not to. I knew that, hey, a frappe every day
Mm-hmm.
could cut costs.
And you know what I say about that investment thing? You're going to pay one way or the other, right?
Listen,
You're gonna pay in time, you're gonna pay in money, you're gonna pay in energy, you're gonna pay to be healthy, or you're gonna pay to be sick. Either way, you're gonna pay.
you're gonna pay. And I chose to be healthy. Right,
Right.
right. So that was my thing. It was it, and I love how you said, even if not the program, then the community,
Yeah.
right? So one of my number one things for strat, finding a community.
Mhm.
Find yourself a community, right? Where you can kind of join and share and be vulnerable with, and get something. I needed help taking up. Listen, that cape was sewn to me. I feel
Mm.
like it was in, we didn't even get a chance to talk about how so much of this stuff was just kind of groped into just kind of life lessons, and the way that I was.
Culturally ingrained, family
Oh
ingrained,
my God, so much.
logically ingrained. Yeah.
So that cape was ingrained in me, and I needed a community that was judgment free. That
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Owens didn't have to be Dr. Owens in, and I didn't feel like I was being judged because I wasn't strong.
Mm.
Right. I didn't feel like nobody would look down on me because I wasn't at my peak today. Right.
Mm.
Or when I when I took this cake off and you saw all the bumps and the bruises, that it wouldn't be a judgment. It would be, come on, let's heal her. So
Mhm.
this community healed me.
Wow.
And I'm trying not to be emotional about that, as we're going into the latter parts of the year, but I didn't recognize how much I needed it till I stepped into it. So
Mm.
this is a community that I would recommend, but get in a community of women that, for one, love the Lord. That was also important too. Like, okay, if you know Dr. Tony, you know Dr. Tony, right? You understand what I'm saying? You know Dr. Tony, you know she's super educated. So for me, all of that was important, because I was like, okay, because I needed somebody who was beyond me to be like, girl, I've been where you are. Because generally in some of my circles, I was I'm the one, right? It was, I was
Mhm.
hard. So
Mhm.
it's like, no, I needed someone that had walked the walk, right? Yeah, know what it's like going to school, being married, having children, that knew that.
Yeah, been there, done that, got the t-shirt.
Not one time did I feel judged when I came in and I was in tears. When I came in and I felt like I had failed as a parent. I felt like I was neglecting my husband. I felt like I was just existing. I didn't feel judged, but I had this space to do it as. So
Wow.
that would be what I would recommend. Get you a community. We were not meant to do it alone.
No, we're not. We're not supposed to do life alone. We're not supposed to do anything alone. And
Yeah.
so I'm just watching you blossom and just so excited.
I know you
Oh,
remember what I was like in January.
oh my goodness, it's just a blessing. It has been an honor to coach you this year.
Yeah, it's just been an honor to be.
It's-
It has definitely been. It's definitely been life changing. It has definitely been life changing. And I know sometimes women of our caliber, they feel like, oh, it's not necessary. I don't need it, but it's needed,
yeah.
right? It's absolutely needed.
Iron
Like,
sharpens iron.
yeah,
Iron sharpens iron because see, in the process, I'm facilitating the program, but at the same time, it was life giving for me too because
yeah,
the Bible says iron sharpens iron, and so I was I was actually receiving from you all
yeah,
as much as I was giving. You know what I'm saying? And then of course,
absolutely.
I have my spaces where I have to go
Yeah.
and be refilled, and my therapist
Mhm.
and my girlfriends and my walking group and my me time and all that. I have to do the same thing that I'm telling you all to do,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
so, and so I always tell y'all in the sessions, y'all, I'm only 2 or 3 steps ahead of y'all, right? I'm just over here. I
Yeah,
found the
you
fresh
can say
water,
that.
and I'm just telling y'all, hey, it's over here.
Yeah.
But I have
No,
to go to
yeah,
the same well that you
yeah.
all have to go to, and I have to do the same things that I'm I'm telling you all to do. And so I am so appreciative to have women like you who
Yeah.
trusted me to lead who are trusting me, because the program is not over
Oh, we
yet. I have a few more weeks.
mhm.
But thank you for giving me the opportunity and trusting me to lead you through a process or
Oh,
journey.
absolutely. If I can leave everybody with one last thing, it is, for me, another part of what this journey taught me, it was okay for me not to be okay.
Mhm.
Right. There was a part of me that wasn't okay, because I was holding so much and I wasn't taking care of me. And I think sometimes we don't we don't want to show that side. And of course, everybody, it's Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane. Everybody can't go in there, right?
Yeah.
Everybody can't go in there, right? We do understand that, but I didn't think that. I thought nobody could see that because nobody would understand it. Uh, People
Mm.
would dog me out. People would say, "Oh, you're a fraud. How are you telling other people to do
Oh,
it?"
we ain't gonna talk about that imposter syndrome. That's a whole nother conversation for another day. I need to bring you back on so we can talk about that. We talked about that in tea
But
time.
that was what I was able to do. That was the
Mhm.
safe space that I appreciated that you provided, because I didn't have that,
We
and
can
that
take
was
it on the
hard for
call.
me to find. I
Mhm.
didn't have that. And you provided that for me, and I'm sure the other women, and I'm just eternally grateful for that.
Well, thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, I want to let people know where they can find you, find this podcast, and find you. So, those of you who are watching or listening, you are watching or listening to the Harmonize Your Life Conversations on Self Care for Women of Color podcast. You can find us on Spotify and on YouTube. I want to
Mhm.
encourage as many of you that can and will to go to my YouTube channel with Dr. Tony G. Alvarado and subscribe to the YouTube channel. This is very, very important as we promote this podcast, as we get this information out, as we increase our viewership and our subscribers to the podcast via YouTube, then we come up in the analytics on Google. And so when women like you and I are looking for resources,
Yeah.
information, inspiration, motivation around self-care, health, wellness, mental health, financial health, fitness, whatever, relationships, all things self-care, all things fitness, all things in how to live a harmonious life. We come up in the analytics as more of you subscribe to the channel and share this podcast, these conversations with others. Again, I want to invite as many of you women that are listening or watching to join the Harmonize Your Life Women's Self-Care Network. You can do so by going to my website at drtonyalvarado.com, clicking the Self-Care Network, and you can join. I'm going to ask that you would join at either a $5 level, $10 level, or $25 level a month. When you do so, you're doing so to help facilitate this work. I see this as ministry in what I'm doing. And so I have to produce the podcast, I have to bring on guests and do all the things that we're doing in this self-care network. And so you can partner with me by joining the self-care network. It will be a benefit to you, but it'll also help us to facilitate this work when you become a partner by $5, $10, or $25 a month donation to this network. Also, you can go, as you see, I am rocking the
Mhm.
Harmony Fitness apparel. I'm rocking one of our designs, Fitness Motivation. Y'all know I'm a fitness guru and I love all things fitness. And so it is hoodie season, it's sweatshirt season. We have bling t-shirts and other motivational t-shirts. We have fitness pants, yoga pants there. We have all of my books are there. Our tea is there. Our herbal tea and our herbal oil, things that will help facilitate your self-care journey are there on my website at drtonyalvarado.com. Go to the shop there and you can purchase any of those items there. I also want you to know that you can join the intentional self-care program for the 2025 cohort. The application is live on my website at drtonyalvarado.com, or you can email us at hello drtonyalvarado.com, and we'll get that application to you, and you can have the same testimony that Dr. Felicia Owens had this time next year. All right. All right. Dr. Owens has been our wonderful dialogue partner. And I do want you to know that you can find her on her website at drowenspeaks.com. drowenspeaks.com. Go there. And if you're looking for a therapist, she is a therapist. And if she can't take you on as a client, she can lead you to somebody that can take you on as a client. You can also follow her on Facebook at Felicia M. Brackett-Owens, or on Instagram at Brackett Owens. And so I am again delighted that she thought it not robbery not to just be a healer of others, but she took this time to heal herself through the Harmonize Your Life intentional self-care program. What she has been intentionally doing for others this year, she benefited because she has intentionally been taking care of herself. And I want to thank all of you for listening to this conversation. Share this conversation with Dr. Owens far and wide. Thank you again, Dr. Felicia, for coming into the podcast studio with me. Thank you for giving me the the honor of coaching you this year in intentional self-care. I'll see you all again next month as we go as we close out season 14 in the month of December. We'll close out season 14, and we'll look forward to what God will do with us in the year 2025. I can't believe this year is almost over.
Yes.
Yeah, we're going into the season of Thanksgiving, and then we'll be closing out in the month of December and preparing for another year of intentional self-care with the Harmonize Your Life Women's Self-Care Network. I'll see you all soon.
Yes. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.